Hello everyone, you're welcome to the Women Lighthouse podcast. This is a community for purpose-driven women who desire to live their dreams and aspirations. Our mission is to inspire you to live your dreams one day at a time while serving as a beacon of hope and guidance. We will be addressing various issues related to womanhood. Join me as we explore our journey of life together. I am your host, Women Hamilton. Hello, ladies. You're welcome to another episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. It's great to have you tuning in on the show. How are you? So today we're going to be talking about how to change your career path. So in the month of April, the Women Lighthouse hosted a mentorship webinar where we invited a guest who has been here on the podcast, Edidiong. So she spoke to us about how we can change career paths. So for those seeking to transition from a particular career path to something different, or from an 8 to 5 job to running your own business or social enterprise, this podcast is for you. Edidiong, she's a family to us here at the Women Lighthouse. She's the founder of Mixed Cares, which is an organization that provides perinatal mental support for women of childbearing age. She was previously a biomedical scientist, but along the way, she discovered she had a passion for perinatal mental health, and she decided to pursue a career in that line. So she's also an author of 5 books, and she hosts a couple of virtual spaces for women to foster perinatal mental health support. So she's the right person to address this topic. I'd love you to stay tuned as we hear from Edidiong.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyima. It's such an honor to be amongst everyone this evening. We're going to just start, and I'm going to start by sharing my story. I'm going to use my own story to share with you guys how I was able to transition from being a biomedical scientist to running a business and becoming a social an entrepreneur, and also becoming a perinatal mental health provider. And I hope that with my story, there would be some learnings that will take place here today. So first of all, it was the lack of familiarity. I came from analyzing stool samples and urine samples to now deciding that, you know what, I want to be talking to people. I want to be a therapist. I want to run a business. I want to be a voice of knowledge. I want to be a voice of understanding. I want people to know that there are some health lines that you might not know, usually just by studying a medical course. That was my own predicament. That's where it started, because being in the field of biomedical sciences and turning out that in my 4th year, I realized that I was rhesus negative. How? My mother had told me I was rhesus positive. So how am I rhesus negative? In case you don't know, the rhesus factor is the plus or minus sign on your blood group, by the way. So I just didn't know what it was. And I was like, how can I be in my 400 level? I don't know what rhesus factor. I don't know my rhesus factor. And I was like, imagine that I was not in, University of Calabar studying biomedical sciences. I probably wouldn't have even known that this thing exists. So why don't I now start, going to the world to let people know that health information is important. People need to know about certain things. And that was just the basics for me. That was the basics. So I didn't know what it meant to be a perinatal mental health worker. I had no idea. So my challenges were a lot. Imagine coming from a doctor and saying you want to come and do tech. Do you understand that kind of a thing? Hey, you don't know anything. So there was lack of, I knew nothing. There was nothing to work on, And there was also, apart from the fact that obviously I had a platform, I had a story, which is also important. You must know your story. And so I had the problem of, shifting skill sets. I had limited network. Remember, my background is in biomedical sciences. All my friends, most of my friends were mostly either doctors, nurses, mostly people that were in the medical field. I had no knowledge about. In short, as at then, I didn't even know there was anybody that was a therapist. I didn't even know a lot of entrepreneurs, and because most of the time our friends back then who were selling stuff for just selling sake. They were not thinking that people could make a career out of, social enterprises and all. So I, was caught up with no good network. And then there was that emotional challenge. Guess what? I was a single lady, not planning to get married. I wasn't dating anybody. I don't even know what it means to have a baby. So there was that fear of, will people accept me? In short, even after I got married, I still didn't have a child. So there was that fear of, will people accept me? People even know what this one is saying. So it was challenging for me because if you look at the whole triangle of my transition, and I had 101 reasons not to want to change career. But there was one thing that was predominant for me. It was my why. And that's why I'm going to say this today, that as soon as you begin to want to change your career, as soon as it looks like you want to change your career, as soon as it starts ringing a bell, because there was a time it started ringing a bell, but I was still hanging on to biomedical science. I don't know, I cannot go through all that stress. I don't practice. But the bell was there in your ear that, hey, time to pack up. This is where you've been called to. I just feel like God just always allows us and orchestrates us into where we are supposed to be. And, it was so funny because I was still holding on to it. And so if you are here today and you are still hanging on to that other stuff, because obviously it's so important, you have to make money from it. I'm going to come to that money part. I'll come to it. It's so important too. So you have to make money from it. You have to know, after all the years, all the burning of candle, after all the stress, after all the carryover, I must pursue this. It was like that. So you must realize that the moment you get to that part, you are starting a new journey entirely. It is new, and you will not be familiar. You will not have the skill set. You may not have the right network. You may not also be emotionally prepared for what you are going to experience. And that's why what I do now is about preparing people for the transitioning of life, because life requires transitioning. So time management is very important, and you must learn to balance whatever it is that you're doing. When I was practicing as a med lab scientist in Nigeria, I remember literally going for night shift, and then I finished my night shift. Guys, guess what? I will stand up. Night shift is usually 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. I have an outreach for 10. So I'll finish. Guess what? That same night, when I'm on night shift, after I finish running all the samples and all, I'll still record a video to talk about awareness. Because obviously, 8 years ago, nobody was talking about mental health. Nobody, literally. So I spent almost 3 years of my life creating awareness. So I record a video to talk about how to identify triggers. I record a video to talk about different things. I used to have what we call Maternal Mental Tuesday. So I was working. I had to record that video. The next morning, I had to call my team. Let's go to Avon. Let's go to Miriamville. Let's go here. Let's go there. And it was at different times. So time management is so important, because if you are not able to manage your time very well, so when we talk about time management, we're not saying that, stand up and start saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's just for you to be able to schedule. So scheduling is very, very important. And that's why till today, if you're not able to schedule properly, you won't be able to track and say, okay, have I done this? Have I done that? Have I done this? It will just be scattered in your head, and you're not sure of which one that you're supposed to do, and you would not be able to effectively be responsible. That's where responsibility comes in. So if you've scheduled something, responsibility automatically comes in. Then I'm going to talk about the place of willpower. So willpower is very important. So yes, I had the drive. There was a drive. The drive was from my story. Like I told you, that the drive was there. It was strong. But I needed to be able to go on night shift for 12 hours where I don't sleep. It took willpower for that to happen. And then stand up, take a shower in the bathroom, dress up, wear my Make Earth t-shirt, and start heading to a couple of other outreaches. That's willpower now. That's not time management now. That's willpower. But time management allowed me to say, okay, I'm on night shift today. I I usually would start work at 8. By the time I have the leftover samples to do, I'll do it so that's what I used to do actually. I'll do it from 8 to like 2, and by 2 I'll just sit down and wait for people to start. I've done most of the things, and I'll start sitting down to wait for maybe emergencies and all of that. And in the period where I'm waiting for emergencies, I can use the bleeding room to just do a recording. Nobody's holding me. I just knew that I was doing the right thing. Just make sure you're doing the right thing. So I record, and when I'm done, obviously we had a bathroom, thankfully. So I'll go in there, take a shower. I'm like, okay, I'll finish at 8. And thankfully, the outreaches I was supposed to go for were just around, where I was working. So it would take me like approximately 20 minutes to get there. So I'll calculate everything. I'm like, you know what? I'll get there in time. And I'll get there in time, finish, look all very nice. I had a photographer who was volunteering for us back then. We take lovely pictures. And when I post on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, you're looking so good. Young people, I just came back from night shift. I've not slept for the last 24 hours. That was how it was. So it took time management for me not to look stressed. When I tell these stories now, people don't believe it, but I know people who know that this happened. So I can't remember having serious burnouts. I can't remember, but I do remember that it was stressful. So when you're able to manage your time properly, you may not suffer the burnout. And management of time helps you to be more productive and more responsible to achieve your task. So now let's talk about personal investments. So now, when you want to switch careers, first of all, your parents have sponsored you. Like my own parents, my father told me clearly, I've sent you to school. That is all. I'm not doing it again. Now I'm married and give birth. People don't believe it, but it's true. That's what happened. So it is now you that is now going to come and pursue your own. Now you send yourself this one. Obviously, there are people that used to tell me back then, we don't send you anything. Now you send yourself this one. And it will now require you to trust in this new career path that you want to take. It will now require you to believe it. Or if you don't believe it, don't go. Don't go. If you don't believe it, don't go, because it will require that you separate your finances, you sacrifice, and you become selfless. It doesn't matter if you're starting a business or if you're starting a new career entirely. Whatever it is that you want to turn into, it will require a lot of separation. Okay, separation in terms of, for me, what I did was I needed to separate my finances, because I'm going to go for outreaches. I'm going to pay for people to come for those outreaches. I'm going to pay transport for my volunteers. I'm going to, do some printing. I'm going to buy a refreshment. So I started separating my finances. Thankfully, there was a grant I won just at the beginning of my career. So we asked to open an account. So I had an account right from when my business started, when the social enterprise started. So I started separating my personal finance from what I was allocating to what I will now be doing, So every month, what I did back then, I'll send at least 10,000 from my salary, 10,000 naira, that low. So it doesn't matter, you must commit something. I'll send 10,000 naira to my business account. It will just be there lying down first, And obviously, it wasn't enough. So when I want to go for outreach, I'll source for funds, I'll source for partnerships and all with my close friends and people who were around, and we would go, So you must learn to separate, and you must be sacrificial. There were times people did not contribute, and I had to bring in the bulk of the money, right? And sometimes some people now say, stop begging, I beg. No, they beg. Omo, you have to be shameless. In this situation, you have to be shameless. You cannot, that's where I got the slogan, you cannot shame the shameless. I stopped being, no shame. I'm shameless like this, like just me. No, I'm not ashamed of anything again in this life. So the truth is, I started literally begging people that I will not ever beg in this life to do anything. I'll be like, this we're going for outreach, and this and so thing happened. There's a mother that we identified in our first time, and she had a loss in our business, and this that we're trying to see if we can support that mother, even though it's not part of what we're doing, but we're just thinking that, can you help us? It became, for me, I saw it as sacrifice, because I usually don't like to ask anybody for anything, but I could not do it by myself. I had to start sourcing funds, so I had to sacrifice my ego, because we all have it. You have to sacrifice it, pull it and throw away like this. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it in a worthwhile way or in a worthy way, because one thing I did was, each person that contributed, I gave them a copy of our books, I gave them an kind of a certificate of appreciation. You must do it in an honorable way. The fact that you're doing something that is complete, that is not like, let's say, something that people can pay for doesn't mean that you shouldn't put a value to it or make people understand that this thing is of value. So you must learn to sacrifice and you must be selfless in this journey. Now, dedication and perseverance. So I maintained a positive attitude. When I say I maintain a positive attitude, people think about motivation. It wasn't always positive, but I do know that there were times where I didn't want to stand up and go anywhere. In short, I wanted to just find someone and you say, you know what, let's do it together so that the day I cannot go, the person will go for me. I remember trying to get a volunteer that was so passionate as me too, but it didn't work. So you must maintain a positive attitude. Attitude in the sense that when you're showing up, people must feel that you are authentic. You are real, and not necessarily for business, for your new career line. People must tell that, oh, this person wants to learn. And one of the things I've learned about being dedicated and persevere wasn't just from my business. It was from my experience of working. And that's why I'm going to say this. So if you're thinking about transitioning career and you think that those lines where people used to say on social media that salary is the money that your boss pays you so that you forget your dream, ditch that thing. Well, carry the thing like this, squeeze it and no, that's not what it is. No, it's not. Salary is not what your boss pays you to forget your dreams. No, it is actually the stepping stone. It is the most important thing that you have at that time. It is the most important thing. So you're not going to come with the mindset of, I need to leave this work today like this and just throw it away. I know what I've been called to do. I know what I'm going to. Well, hunger will wire you. We all know that one, Sha. So, it wasn't for me. It wasn't just about maintaining that positive attitude. It was about the fact that in each of my journey to doing what I was supposed to do, I learned from my boss. I learned how business was being managed. I learned the importance of customers, and I learned how customers should be treated. I remember literally one of those days in our office back then, a client walked in, a patient walked in, and asked, where's the restroom? And then I said, that's the restroom. And then my boss was watching on the CCTV, and then he calls me and I'm like, did that client just ask for direction? And then he pointed. No, there is no time a client will point and will ask for direction. Make sure if it means holding the client's hand, follow the client and show the client where exactly the client wants to go to. That it just means an extra. And one thing my boss always did back then was customer. He was always so customer-centric in his approach. He didn't ever joke with customer. And that's what I have embodied in my business currently. In short, I'm so selfless and so interested in my customers so that I'm even more willing to, be so sacrificial to make sure that they are comfortable. So that's one of the things I learned. And that is what you are learning in that journey, not just about the money that you are being paid, because nobody is paying your boss for somehow teaching you that experience, but you are collecting salary and having experience. In the Western world where I currently I'm schooling right now, nobody cares about your certification, your experience. I know you cannot buy experience. You can't buy it. It's not sold anywhere. And so if you're understudying under someone who probably has experience and you think that it's just about the money alone, guys, you need to rethink. It's not just about the money. It's about what that experience is going to do for you in the future of your career. Is it time management? Is it how to deal with customers? Is it how to emotional intelligence? Because I remember literally having to deal with a lot of nasty colleagues, but I learned emotional intelligence. I learned how to speak better. Women knows how I used to be. I learned how to speak better. I learned how to be more empathic towards people. So those experiences were not lost. So it's not just the money. It is what you are learning on that journey. And you must adapt new strategies when faced with obstacles. One of the obstacles I had was money. I didn't have enough. Then people. I had people resource, and I had people problem in the sense that not because people came in and they left. The challenge was people to come in and stay. Most of the people like that came will just be, when we are going for our outreaches, they'll just come and then they'll go back. They are not there to say, okay, you know what, man, don't worry, don't do this one, I'll do this one. You were the one doing everything. So I had that challenge, and that's because I didn't even know. But as I go on, I'll share with you how I was able to navigate that. So, but you must learn to adapt with the strategies. For example, I remember during COVID, we were already struggling to break even and all, and then COVID happened. But guess what? It was when we actually broke even. 2020 was when we finally actually sold. And it was now because we used to feel like, oh no, you need to go physically and talk to these people and get people on board. Yes, we did all of that. It worked. Thankfully it did. But when COVID happened, everybody had to go online, right? That's when we realized that people just need a place where they can, vent and feel understood and feel a sense of support. And, bam, you now said, you know what, let's leverage a virtual safe space. So now that happened. There was something new that changed, and we needed to adapt and make new strategies to, fit that experience. And that was when something actually happened. So you must not always have a closed mindset about how it should be, because remember, you have an experience. If you're a lawyer, you have an experience. I have to go to court. But if you're switching into, say, sociology, it's not going to be the same. You might not go to court. So what is it in sociology now that I have to adapt to? Or what is in sociology now that I have to do differently from going to court, from learning the terminologies of law and all of those things? You must, adapt to those changes, and please continue showing up. Continue showing up in your area of choice. Whether you know it or not, just show up. Any knowledge where you get that you have not, sorry, I just switched PG. Any knowledge that you have that you are not applying, that knowledge has not taken place. Trust me. You have not learned. No, you've not. So if the impact of knowledge, or how people will know that you have evolved, or how people will know that changes have happened in this person's life, is when they see. So if you don't apply what you've learned, an application happens to you first, and then you learn hands to other people. We're not built, no, God did not raise us to be isolated. We're not built to be on our own and just say, okay, I know it for myself. No, if you've known it and you've lived it and it's working and you've proven it to work, it doesn't matter if it's from research or if it is from your own personal experiences, bring other people into the light. Whether you show up, first of all, the videos I used to make back then, I was just watching it the other day, I was like, eh? So I even used to talk this smoothly. Now that I even feel like, I didn't even do well back then. And I remember that guess what, guys? The numbers I grew on Instagram when I just started went from 0 to 800. And I've lived on 800 for years. Compared to now that I even feel like, I have expertise and more equipped. So when you start out, people will want to see what is in it. Come and give us. People are hungry. It's not even just about business alone. It's about anything. Even if it's in the workspace, people want to see the value that you have. People are actually looking out for value. And guess what? All of us have intrinsic value. And I'm going to say this again. If you don't write down anything, write it down. All of us have intrinsic value, not regardless of, not because of we have money. Our value is not in the money that we have. Our value is not in the position that we have. And I mean this outrightly. Go and read Genesis. When you read Genesis, you understand when God said, let us make man in our likeness. You understand your identity. You know who you are. You will see that you are not the money that you think that you don't have. You are not the money that you have. You're not even the properties that you have. You're not. There's so much embedded in you. You are God, and you should be God. You should be. There's no mediocrity in this. You should be God. I don't know why I got that far, but let's move on. So you must damn whatever it is that, and that's why when someone said something, go to people that don't increase your imposter syndrome. Keep them around. I just remembered that I need to say this. Keep them around. Go to them more. Eradicate the ones that make you feel less important. Cut them off and bring those other ones that make you feel I can do this, I can get it done. And go out there and do it. Go out there and show up, make mistake and start again. Make mistake and just embrace the mistake, learn from it and go again. I'm just gonna go as fast as I can. I think my time is running out. So for me, what kept me going, because I have to stress this, because you can be showing up every day, and it could have been that it wasn't valuable. I don't know. It was just, I didn't even see, first of all, I didn't even see that, I didn't understand what it meant to bring value. I just wanted people to know. I don't know if you guys understand what I mean. I just wanted people to know. I didn't know that, okay, you have to bring value for people to appreciate it, that kind of stuff. I didn't understand it. It was much later in business I understood what it means to bring value. So for me, what made me to keep showing up was how you go for an outreach, and then you find out that this thing that you're talking about is strange, or even to the medical practitioners. This thing that you are trying to talk, people want to hear it more. This thing that you're collecting data for and asking questions about, 60% of women are actually suffering it too. More. That was when I decided that no way, this was a problem that needed to be solved. So that was my defining why. And so that brings me to the point where I say, whatever it is that you want to start, you must seek knowledge about it. You must research, and researching not necessarily online. It means asking people. It means going out there and asking questions about those things. Sometimes you might not even go out. Luckily, we have social media now. It helps us leverage a lot of things. I mean, it leverages us to do a lot of things. So I now realized that, so this thing is a real problem. So that was my why. My why was how I saw that there was an hunger for this thing. And also the fact that I just wanted to make sure that this problem is being solved. Lack of access to information. That was my driving force. So for you, what is your why? So why do you want to transition from this particular career to the other one? Could it be because of money? Fantastic. I don't have a problem with you wanting to transition career because you want to make money or you want to do anything. No. So I remember that someone wanted to transition to move from Nigeria to the UK, and they was like, get some tech jobs, make sure get some tech experience, read about a lot of, get some courses, go on Coursera. I'm going to talk about Coursera in a minute. Go on Coursera, just make sure that you learn and learn and learn. And, when you get to the UK, it will be easy for you to get a tech program and all. Fantastic. If that's what works, whatever your why is, I don't fault people's why, but keep it in you. Don't take it out of your. If it means writing it and pasting it somewhere, that's what meditation is. Meditation is honestly muttering words or closing your eyes, and when people say things like, reaffirmations and all. I'm confident and this. People say those things. Fantastic. That's not just what it is. That's one side of it. It is putting it in view. Then I'm going to talk about confidence. Now, confidence is not that point came to my head. I'm just going to talk. Confidence is not you saying to yourself, I'm beautiful, I'm confident. It's beyond that. This was supposed to come before now, but it is where you as a person staying true to yourself and doing the things that you said to yourself that you were going to do. It makes you now trust yourself. It makes you now believe in yourself. It now gives you confidence that you can do it. So if you said, for example, if I said I was going to do a video, I'm going to record a video for myself during my night shift, and maybe I'm so exhausted, and I'm like, I can't do it. And then I now say to myself, Edidiong, you just have to do this because this is the only time you have to do it. Tomorrow you may not be able to do this because this and that. You have that and that, and you know what? And you stand up and show up for yourself. It builds confidence for you. So it involves your willpower. It involves you as a person. It's not just about looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm confident. No, you must trust yourself. You must be able to push yourself to stand up and do what needs to be done as a person. So you must learn. You must start learning all over again. And one of the platforms that was so beneficial to me was FutureLearn and Coursera. Coursera, I I took so many free courses. And if you don't know, I'm just going to share this as a tip with you. If you don't know, on Coursera, you can take free courses on Coursera, and it's quite simple to get financial aid, especially from Nigeria. So all you need to do is, if you see a course that you want to take, that there are kind of similar courses that do not have financial aid. There are similar courses that don't have financial aid. There's some that has financial aid. So you check out those courses. Are they similar? You see it, okay, this one has financial, this one doesn't. Okay, I'll go for them. In case you don't have the money, you go for that one. It's the same models, mostly same model, same pattern of learning. It will just require your willpower to show up. And that's another thing. The moment you are able to show up to attend your Coursera sessions, kudos to you, because you are ready to transition, So you click on financial aid, apply for financial aid, write a statement. They'll ask you, I think it's about 5 questions. Why do you think you can afford this thing? I can't remember, because it's been a while I took free courses on Coursera, but they will ask you like 5 questions, and it will be about your financial status, why you think you can afford it, and you just generally just answer it genuinely, and they'll ask you what your income is. They'll ask you why you need to take this course, and kudos. It takes about, I think, a couple of weeks, and then there has not been any time. I remember taking close to 15 courses on Coursera, and there has not been any time as back then where I applied for financial aid that it didn't come through. So you can leverage on that, and those courses will be so valuable. Sorry. So another part where you have to now work on as you transition your career is specialized knowledge, because I didn't have knowledge about perinatal mental health. I didn't even have good knowledge about social entrepreneurship or what it meant to run a business. I just knew that I could sell business. I'm sure I had a very simple mindset about, I sell hand dryers back then in school. I'll sell hand dryers, collect the money I want to, and then give the capital and then collect my own profits. That was just all I thought business was about. But I now realize that no, that's not what just business is about. It's a lot. So I started leveraging on knowledge. So I started applying for a lot of business programs. I started applying to understand, mostly also because of the grants that were associated with those programs. I also started applying for, just to have knowledge about business, and also to have knowledge about what I was now transitioning into. So coming to the field of perinatal mental health, I had to look for international bodies that know that this thing is real, So I remember having some free trainings from Postpartum Support International, and thankfully that particular year, ever since that year, they've not done it again. That particular year, they said, you know what, if you are an international provider, we're giving out free certifications for you to become a full perinatal mental health. And guys, that was it. How did I know these people? I went online, I searched. Yes, I asked myself, are there people actually doing the same thing? And then I searched. So you must be very proactive, and you must seek other people that know more than you. I did back then was I just wanted to partner and collaborate with loads of doctors, and that's why I was going to a lot of private hospitals. I didn't even start in, but later on we started the first set of our outreaches were in primary healthcare centers, because back then, as a core member, I had access to the local government, so I could access the primary healthcare centers. But when I started out fully, I was looking for private hospitals. I also had someone who I remember that, and there was someone I was looking up to. He runs what we call Postpartum Support Africa. He's not a medical person. He is a social entrepreneur too. So I saw that he was doing that, and I was like, okay, I like this thing that you're doing. And all of these things happened in my networking. It happened in the time where, in the midst of, guess what? In the time where I was working, I was starting out my social enterprise. I was also volunteering. I volunteered for like 3 different other organizations. And one of them, in short, a couple of them, if I go for their programs and all, they were like, oh, Edidiong, just in a way to thank you, want to send you for a training. And when I go for that training, and they'll say to me, Edidiong, I know this training will be beneficial to you because this is what you want to do. And there are people that are in your industry that are going to be at that training. And that was where I started meeting people. So you must leverage a lot of things. So I went on a lot of further. I just climbed, and all these people, If I tell you guys, I don't know them from Adam. It was through the outreaches. It was through church. It was through different. I don't really, like, I'm not close to any of them. I just walked up to people. I remember when I had partnerships with Channel, I just walked up to someone. I'm like, I know you work with Channels. Can I have you come with me for my outreach? So you must take it on. And you must be willing to associate. You must be willing to partner. You must be willing to, even till now, the lady who built our mobile application, I've never met her before. I have never met her. I met her on a program that Microsoft organized called Tech for Deaf, Women Texas program. And she's just about, say, 19. And I said to her, listen, this is what I'm trying to do. I think we should collaborate. And that was how we're able to collaborate and build that mobile application. So you must collaborate. You must find a way to do it. It's not necessarily for business, because you might not be in business like me. In whatever thing that you want to do, you must be someone that is doing it that knows that you must find a way to clean on their feathers. And don't worry about people saying no to you. If one person says no to you, 101 people else will say yes. Trust me. Take it from me. That's the truth. A lot of people said no to me. A lot of people, like, till today, people just still feel like, what's this one doing? Some people can't say it to my face, but I'm doing it anyways. So the truth is, people will say no to you. Just rise up. Sometimes they won't even say no. They will just ghost you. People have ghosted me. They've ghosted me very well. So they may not paint a picture of what people. No, they will not always accept you. But you just have to remember your why. And like I said, you must be willing to learn. What learning does for you, it helps you grow and gives you a sense of innovation. It was learning that made me realize that we can build a mobile application. Because we don't have perinatal mental health therapists in Nigeria, we can build a mobile application where perinatal mental health therapists around the world can sign up on the application, and mothers in Nigeria can receive appropriate care. That was where that idea came from, and it was true learning. So it was true learning, and it was because when that idea came, and I said, you know what, I don't know how to do the work. I don't even like to write code. I have to go and learn it. And I said, you know what, where is the program? I saw Women Texas program. Okay, so can I apply? I applied. I told my story, and they were like, okay, come on board. And then that was how I learned how to build a mobile application and partner with some other person to bring it to life. So what learning does for you is that it opens your mind to innovation and that. So how do you overcome the challenges that come with it? So you must be persistent. And I've said this over and over. You must be persistent. You must be willing. Willpower. If you don't take back anything from this conversation, willpower. Your willpower is the changing force. Having a conversation with my friend over the phone this afternoon, I said to her, willpower is the most powerful thing that any human being has. If you don't have your willpower, you're on your own. Because you will be like a sheep without a shepherd. Right? So you have the willpower and you are able to show up. You are able to persevere when challenges come, when setbacks come, when it feels like, oh God, how did I get myself? I felt like that a lot of times. Who send me this work? It would come. So you must be willing to say, you know what? So when people say willpower, when people say intentionality, it's willpower. That's what it means. You must be willing to, turn those challenges. I remember when the lady who built our mobile application said to me that, oh, I need you to increase the fee that you are paying me. And I said to her, oh, we can't afford you. I started doing, please now help me. Please, we can't afford you. And somebody said to me, what are you doing? Are you okay? How much is she asking for? How much? It's not even that much. Why can't you just find a way to get this done instead of you being trying to get somebody to pity you? And I'm like, you know what? How can I actually increase this person's money instead of me? I said to her, you know what? Thank you for what you've done so far. I'm going to get back to you, and I'm going to make sure that I see through to what you want. And that's what I said to her. And I started sitting down, I started strategizing. How am I going to make sure that I pay her this money? And it's not just about her, other people. How am I going to do this? I started already strategizing. I started strategizing how I can get in more income to be able to afford her. So I will not just sit down and say, and fold my hands and say, my own has finished. So if you have that mindset, if you don't think about it, because how are people doing it? How companies that are making billions doing it? How? If they could do it, they have one head. Trust me. If anybody can do anything in this life, anybody else can do it. Any other person can do it. So I just want to encourage us not to kind of leverage on our downtime. Don't leverage it. Don't sit on it. It can be hard. You have to cry. I cry a lot, by the way. Cry. Well, when it's time, stand up. Continue. Stand up. Continue. Cry, finish. Clean your eye like this. Come on your video and start talking about that thing that you're so confident about. You have to show up. Showing up, remember your why. Remember your why. And learn from your failures. Use it as a time to reflect and give yourself honest feedback. Give yourself honest feedback. I will be honest with you that lots of times I just sit down like, this thing that you just did, this video that you did, how are you even sure that this thing is true? I'm like, you have to go and research again. Ask somebody, ask this person whether this thing is true. So you just make sure that you are following the due processes and you're sincere to yourself. You must be sincere to yourself in your journey and learn from those failures. So, in conclusion, I would just want to wrap up this session by letting you guys remember that in the journey of career transition, it's not just about the destination, but we must leverage on the lessons that we learn on that journey, the connections that we made with people, how those people played a role, and we must also consider the personal growth that we have achieved along the way, how we were able to build on the experiences that we got to get to where we are.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. I hope you were inspired to keep taking steps towards living out your dreams. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to share it with other women and leave us a review on our social media platform, which is in the description box. Also, feel free to subscribe to our channel to get notified of new episodes. Till I come your way on our next episode, keep living, keep dreaming. Bye for now.